Hello, my name is Azzahratul Balqis, student ID 123241088, and I'm here to talk about a video that I just watched called British Researcher Exposes Western Propaganda Against China. So, in this video, this researcher is called Carlos Martinez, and he is from Britain. And in this video, he just visited China. He went to Beijing and Urumqi. Urumqi is an Uyghur autonomous region of Xinjiang, and he has seen the things that are contradictory with what the Western media has portrayed all this time. He is here in this interview to debunk that the reality is not like that. It's not like what is portrayed in the Western media. So, as he said, that the media is not portraying China well because, well, China is a communist country, and the media is portraying that China is like oppressing and doing bad things to their citizens and treating them very poorly. And this researcher, Mr. Carlos, is saying that things that are said in those news aren't true because he saw it with his own eyes that he went to Beijing and Urumqi, and he saw no people living in the streets, and that indicates that the government actually cares to their citizens, and that this is contradictory with what is very presented in the Western media, where the US is portrayed as the land of the free, where the people is living their own life with their own rights, and they have all of the freedom of in the world, where actually I think the freedom is there, but too free that people are living in the streets in popular cities in the US, like the New York, and millions of people are living in the streets like that, and the government isn't doing anything significant to solve this kind of problem. Even though like the US is the most ruling country in the world, like they have the most power in the world, but they can't even solve this kind of problem. However, the Chinese government are able to do that, and that is how this is one of the examples how the media is actually very biased and very tactical, and is portrayed this somewhat way to make the perspective that they want. And to add that, people in Uyghur, this region where Urumqi is in, they have a lot of populations of Muslim, and they are living freely to express their religion, and they have their right to wear their kind of clothing that they want, and they are living like that freely without being held at gunpoint all the time. That is what proves that China is not like all the media is portraying. However, Western countries are teaming up and using like other world problems and other world wars to bring down China. And that is the problem. Like when you say that all the news that the Western media made is fake, people will turn their head towards you and say that you are not supporting human rights and you are violating human rights because you just don't agree with what the Western media is saying. And that is what the Western media is trying to do, shaping this kind of perspective and trying to prove that they're right just so that they can bring China down. And this is a very big problem that proves that media is a big weapon that can be used, and not only just spreading information but the use of power. This is abuse of power. And when you ask how this Western media is making this all this fuss against China and how they have this all this resources to bring China down, is because they have the freedom of speech. Of course, when the press is being independent, they have their right to choose where they want to side with, and they have their own interests and they have their own needs to be fulfilled. And that is actually what is happening in all of the media around the world. And when the press, the US press, is independent, they are actually still capitalist because they are still tied to the US government and the American ruling class. So it's actually up to us on how to pick and differentiate which one is actually right and which one is wrong. It's up to our choices to believe what is right and wrong, which side are we on, because it's not actually the matter of which side are we on, because it's actually, are we siding with humanity or not. But we'll come back to this neutral term because the video that I just watched is actually also coming from a media from China. So it's up to us, up to me, to decide which is worth to believe, and we should be more critical in receiving information, news, and processing information that is shared in the internet, the social media. And we have to be more critical, because again, it's all on us to believe which is right and wrong. So I think that wraps up the discussion that I want to say in this video, and I think that will wrap it up. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.